Greetings, YouTube. Elder Julius Rhinehart here. Thought I would come on today, have something that I wanted to finish discussing that I had started before. Have something that I wanted to share at the end of this video as well. But, I wanted to continue on the subject matter that I had delved into I think now it's been a few months ago. And definitely not going to be dragging things out that long again, but it is important enough where I feel like I need to delve into it a little bit more and to talk about it a little bit more today. The first video I did was where are you getting your information from? It was something along those lines. Where are you getting your information from? And I talked about the importance of getting good, solid information, not pulling information from any and everywhere. We live in a day where if someone wants to be biased, I mean, there's all sorts of things in place for them to be more biased than in any other time in history, in my view. Because anything you want to believe, you can literally go on the internet and find some people that agree with your position. Now, what many don't understand is that is not how you determine something to be true. Ooh, I found someone over here talking about it. Someone over here talking about it. If it's talked about in 5 places, it must be true. That is not the case. That is not the case. Sometimes things can be talked about in 15, 20 places on the internet. That doesn't make it true. It just may mean it has an internet buzz or an internet hype about it or whatever. But that does not make it true. That does not make it true. Not trying to get into a lot of the things that I, or continue in that sense from the last video, but I will go ahead and say this. Again, it's important when you're doing research, when you're looking into things, to look for primary sources, to examine those primary sources. If something is claimed, to look for, a witness, or something like that in the story. Those kind of things are important. Those kind of things are important. It is very bad when people can listen to a story and that's being reported, and the reporter literally says, a source said this, or this person said that, and they won't communicate the source, but yet people run with it. First thing, a critical thinker is going to say, okay, you're saying something, you have a story here, you said there's a source, who's the source? And how do we know that source is credible? I've seen this happening specifically in the last presidency, where a source inside the White House, and I'm not, I'm not a president, former president now, Donald Trump fan, or anything like that, but it was very interesting to see how much people were given to just believing something because it coincided with their narrative. It wasn't about getting to the truth. It was about, I can't stand this person, and here comes news that confirms what I feel, so therefore it must be true. There was a lot of that sort of thinking. And what was really scary, a lot of that thinking was coming from church people. That was frightening. That was very frightening, to where it's like, okay, you mean to tell me that you're not even wanting confirmation that it's true? You're just going by the fact that you have a hunch that it may be true, or you're going by the fact that in your overall view of this person is like this, therefore it has to be true. None of those things are concrete reasons to believe whether something is true or not. None of those things. But anyway, I did a whole video about that kind of a subject matter. What I wanted to talk about in this video is after I did that video, people someone inboxed me and asked me what sources, what sources would you recommend? I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a mainstream media type of person when it comes to world affairs and everything like that. Now, if you're talking about local issues and stuff like that, you can't avoid mainstream media there. But I'm gonna say to you like this: on the local level, you're gonna get a little bit more truth on the local level than you would on the federal level, because what the narrative they're trying to control the most really does tend to be on the federal level. It tends to be on the federal level. That doesn't mean that they're not trying to control anything at all on the local level, but there's more that goes into the federal or national level, and definitely on the international level. And so when it comes to that kind of news, and I'm gonna say this: it doesn't mean that I won't look at mainstream media in that sense at all, but they're not my first go-to places. So I'm going to name some places that I tend to frequent, some sites that I tend to frequent when it comes to news. This is not in order, and some of this is not about articles. Some of this is literally maybe someone's YouTube channel or something like that. I like Jason Burmis. Jason Burmis was the person who created Loose Change, that questioned the 9/11 official narrative and everything like that. Jason Burmis is someone, from what I can tell, that cares about facts, that's not out here just being sensationalist or anything like that. Doesn't jump the gun. And again, you're going to get the in-depth, censored perspective, when you listen to Jason Burmis. I like Press for Truth by with Dan Dix over in Canada. To me, he does a wonderful job reporting. And again, he's not a sensationalist. He's very much in. You're going to get when you go to that channel, you're going to get it documented. He's going to point you to sources and different things like that, which is very, very important. Now he's been censored on YouTube. He's not on YouTube anymore now. I have some of his stuff on my channel. Some of his stuff I've uploaded to my channel, but I'm talking about as a channel. He's just not on there, YouTube, not to my knowledge. And that's James Corbett of the Corbett Report. The Corbett Report. Again, with all these people, these are people that fit the narrative that I'm talking about. They fit what I've been talking about. They care about sourcing. They care about their research is thorough. So definitely James Corbett. Now, when it comes to an actual site where you get articles, Unlimited Hangout, Whitney Webb's website, Unlimited Hangout. Whitney Webb is really making noise right now, and I mean in a good way. She came out with her book, One Nation Under Blackmail, which is a 2-volume book where she talks about Jeffrey Epstein, takes a deep dive into the subject matter, and what many of us don't understand is, many of us know about Jeffrey Epstein, many of us know that he wasn't a swell guy, but we really don't know about Jeffrey Epstein past maybe the year 2000. We don't know that Jeffrey Epstein has been a big deal all the way back since, like, I want to say the 70s or 80s. And, he was part of a network, a vast network, and was possibly linked with Israeli intelligence and possibly even American intelligence. Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Trilateral Commission. How many people know that? Jeffrey Epstein was in and out of power, in powerful circles. He ran in powerful circles. But there's a real deep dive she takes in the book, and she's been interviewed here recently. But if you want to talk about sourcing, that is the queen of sourcing, if you ask me. Like, she will source the crap out of her articles, so you'll know, hey, I'm not making this up. I also like she contributes to these people I'm about to name now. The Last American Vagabond. The Last American Vagabond. They put out some good things. Now, mind you, there are some of these people that I'm sharing that if we get down to philosophically and religiously, I don't agree with them. But in terms of them delivering information that's going on in our world, that's where I recommend that, man. And I guess the one person I'm just zeroing that in on is Derek Brose, who's, to me, is a good reporter, a good investigative journalist, but I do not agree with his worldview. So there's that. And he's a contributor to the Last American Vagabond. Let me think. Activist Post. Again, that's where if you want to find some articles that delve into stuff that you're not going to hear in the mainstream. Activist Post, sourced, a lot of good contributors. Technocracy, News and Trends, Patrick Wood, definitely a site I recommend that people frequent. Patrick Wood is someone who knew the late Professor Anthony Sutton. Anthony Sutton was the first to expose Skull and Bones. We all found out later, the way he was able to do that was Charlotte Thompson Iserby, who was a whistleblower in the 80s, specifically. Now, she was making stuff long after that, but her father had been in Skull and Bones, her father and her grandfather, and so she had some secret, like, I guess paraphernalia or whatever, that she, specifically a list of membership and everything like that, that she gave to Professor Sutton, and Professor Sutton took what he had and he made a book about it. Interestingly enough, let me go ahead and let's go ahead and really have fun. Let's go ahead and really, really have fun. It just so happens that where I'm at right now, I actually have Professor Sutton's book. So there you go. America's Secret Establishment, an introduction to the Order of Skull and Bones. Highly recommended. Again, Professor Sutton was not a sensationalist, just saying all sorts of crazy stuff that can't be verified. The book is a good book. It's a book worth getting. It's a book where he explores a lot of what he found to be their mindset in terms of now, he was the first to kind of blow it open. So it is written in such a way where I have to strongly emphasize that you're gonna find him presenting evidence and arguing a case. It's not going to be, bulletproof in terms of him, interviewing a member of Skull and Bones and they're saying, yeah, we're trying to take over the world. No, it's not that kind of a thing. But there's enough information in there. Trust me, there's enough information in there to where, the book needs to be taken seriously. He had mentored. Chris Milligan of Trine Day Publishing, and Chris Milligan came out with a book called Fleshing Out Skull and Bones, which is a fat book that takes an even deeper dive into the Order of Skull and Bones. Some of it, because Professor Sutton had mentored him, he had a lot of Professor Sutton's stuff. So a lot of what's written in there is stuff like old newsletters from Professor Sutton, and so highly recommend that as well. But Technocracy News and Trends, Patrick Wood, this is someone who worked with Professor Sutton when it came to exposing the Trilateral Commission. Very solid site. Very solid site. Again, you're going to get a lot of solid sourced news. You just are. Let me see. I'm trying to make sure I've named everybody. Another good site that I like to go to is called Truth Unmuted. Truth Unmuted. That's a good site. Y'all, I'm kind of going off the top of my head here, so I'm trying to remember everybody. Mint Press is good. Mint Press is good. They're not. See, within the alternative space, you still have left and right. It's just that when people say that left and right is artificial, people have to really kind of explain that. It's not that there is no real left and right at all, but it's just when it comes to what you're seeing in politics on TV, that is on a certain level not real. I mean, that is, and I'm not saying it's like I'm not saying it's fake in the sense of there being no differences at all, but it's like the reason why they say it's fake is because when you get to each side, the establishment owns each side. What you'll have is two people running against each other. Both of them will be members of the Council on Foreign Relations, an elite think tank, or both will be members of the Trilateral Commission, an elite think tank, or both will be funded by elites. It'll be that sort of thing. But so Mint Press is more on the left side of things, but they're not the toxic, psychotic left of mainstream. That's a whole nother left right there. These tend to be, some of them I want to say they tend to be classical liberals in a sense. Then you have Gray Zone. That's a good site. Again, sourced. The Canadian Patriot, Matthew Ehret. You're going to get a lot of good info there. That's a site I do frequent. I'm trying to think of if there's anybody else. I don't wanna. No. Now, when it comes to YouTube, Kim Iverson. She's good. Kim Iverson is a independent investigative journalist. She used to work for The Hill. That stopped a few months ago, I want to say. Now it's probably maybe 5 or 6 months ago, I want to say now. But she's worth listening to. You're not going to get a bias kind of thing from her. Ben Swan, if you can find his stuff, or just go to his website. Ben Swan, he used to be a mainstream reporter as well. His stuff, I would say a good portion of his stuff is really solid. Most of it, you're not going to agree with everybody on every single thing, but I like Ben Swan. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody here. Another good YouTube channel is Really Graceful. She puts out some good stuff. Really Graceful. Oh wow, I almost got out here and didn't some main people that I know I want to talk about. Um, you know, this is more. You're going to get more analysis from these people I'm about to mention now, but two people I definitely recommend is Jay Dyer. Y'all know Jay Dyer has stuff that's shared on this channel. Jay Dyer is definitely someone when you're delving into the history of things, or maybe the analysis of certain elite books and stuff like that. That's definitely someone I would argue is worth listening to. Another person who fits the analysis kind of a thing would be forensic historian Richard Grove. Now, Richard Grove, you can find interviews or anything with him. What I love about Richard Grove is he's going to, as he's being interviewed or as he lectures, he's going to be dropping all sorts of sources and stuff that you can go to. I have a whole list of things I need to read now because of Richard Grove that expose the elite. Expose the elite. So there's a website I have in my mind. I think it's called the Institution for Globalization and Covert Geopolitics. The person that operates that website I don't think he's been on. He's actually done anything recent, up to date with it, but he has so much information on there that delves into history as it pertains to the Anglo-American side of this situation, the Anglo-American establishment, the Pilgrim Society. He has a very, excuse me, y'all, very in depth, and he's extremely sourced with with the things that he has in there. Extremely. Again, you're going to be put in a very good position when it comes to understanding things when you go to his site. If you can find Carl T-Trip, any articles that he's done, I've known about him since like the early 2000s. I know his website is Forcing Change. He is a Christian. He has been to global meetings, so like he's coming with the perspective that very different, and he tends to. Now he hasn't went all the way on the inside in that sense. That's another story. But anyway, he's worth listening to. If you're going to order a newsletter, a good newsletter is Hope for the World Update. That is put out by Gary Carr. He lives in Indianapolis, Indiana. But Gary Carr has written two books. The one he's known for is En Route to Global Occupation. Gary Carr was a trade specialist for the government of Indiana. And he got invited to join a global organization, an NGO basically, called the World Constitution and Parliament Association. Back then, he was a believer back then, but back then, being invited to that is where he first got his understanding shattered in terms of knowing, like, okay, there really is an agenda for world government. This is really going on. And so En Route to Global Occupation is a good, if you want to get into his work, a good place to start. He also has a book called The New World Religion. Carl T-Trip helped him with that. Carl T-Trip and him know each other. to my knowledge, are friends, still friends. Um, I'm trying to. I feel like I know there's some other um, people that I can mention. Oh yeah, the New American. The New American. That is a good site where you can get good information about things that are going on. You're going to, and again, they're not sensationalists. They're not. You're not going to get um, false stories or anything like that. Now, you know, um, the system is so pervasive. I'm going to say this: the system is so pervasive. Sometimes, people can be controlled opposition and not know it, or they may know it. So the only thing I would say that I find that I struggle with when it comes to the New American is you're only going to get so much information. It's not even that they're going to mislead you. They're known for being accurate. They're known for being ahead of the game when it comes to foreseeing stuff. But they're not going to tell you everything. And I think it has to do with the nature of how they came together and their history. Um, you know, things are a lot more controlled than people think. And it doesn't mean that everybody individually is a mindless automaton. That is not even how it works. That's not how it even has to work. Literally, to control an organization, really, all you really need to do is control the top. If you can control the top, it'll steer everybody else. And they won't even know why they're doing it. They'll just think they're doing it because the people at the top, are steering them a certain way, not knowing that there's influences, above them technically or outside of them that are influencing the organization to go a certain way. So, check the website out, go to them, share them, read them. You'll learn a lot. But I'm just telling you ahead of time. There's a whole lot you're not going to get if you just stick with them. That's all I'm saying. You can't just be locked in one place. Dangerous to do that. True Stream Media is another one. Aaron and Melissa Dykes have done phenomenal work. Phenomenal work. True Stream Media has done. They are more so like YouTube and everything, and some of these other platforms. But they do have. You can actually go to their website and see where they have written articles. You really can't lose, in my opinion, overall, listening to them. Aaron and Melissa Dykes. These are husband and wife. Aaron and Melissa Dykes. At this point, I want to say for now, those are some good places to start. I don't think, matter of fact, I know those are not the only places, but those are good places to start and to get some good, to be informed on what's going on. I'm gonna tell you something. I know I'm almost 30 minutes into this. I'm gonna tell you something that sealed the deal for me when it came to media. When I first began to research these things, I was getting Hopeful of the World Update, Gary Kaz newsletter. He had a calendar of world meetings that he put out at the beginning of the year, or near the end, if not the beginning of the year, to let people know these are the things they're going to be pushing, and they're going to be the meetings they're going to be having this year. And the way he was able to get the global events calendar is he had an inside source, so to speak. And I remember, at least for 2 years at least, he had the calendar. And I remember one year counting. I took time to count. There were 75 meetings. 75 meetings that were supposed to be had that year to push world government. How many of them do you think were reported in the news? I don't recall them being reported all the time anyway. There may have been some here and there, but not like really reported like that. I remember when the International Criminal Court had passed. That was a huge development on the international level. And when it finally was passed, I looked around on the news stations to see who was going to report on it. I know I never heard anybody report on it. I didn't hear anybody report on it. The way I knew it existed was alternative media. My point is, there's some parts of the story you're not going to. There's a lot of parts of certain stories you're not going to get if you're just listening to Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and all these others. You're not going to get the total story. There's a lot of reasons why. There's conflicts of interest that are involved. There are different reasons why, but you're not going to get the full story. A lot of times, fooling with those networks. And at the end of the day, I do want to leave you with this. At the end of the day, it's, if you're going to be informed, it's up to you. It's up to you to be informed. It's up to you. It's up to you. It's really not up to other people. It's up to you. Yes, the mainstream media is guilty of the mainstream media is guilty of not, getting the truth to the American people. But there's a certain side of this where we have to take responsibility ourselves to see to it ourselves that we're informed. And we're in a time now where there's no excuse not to be informed, because you're able to take a little computer out of your pocket and look it up. Now, again, don't just go to anybody. Even with YouTube, there are people that demonize YouTube. I don't totally demonize it. I just say, if you're going to use it, you need to use it the right way. That's the gist of what I try to say anyway when I talk to people. Sometimes it may be taken like I'm demonizing YouTube. That's not where my heart is. Where my heart is if you're going to use it, there are scholars on YouTube. There are solid people on YouTube sharing solid information. But then there's other stuff on YouTube. So if you know who to go look for, you're going to be informed. If you just follow riffraff, you're going to just be believing all kind of stuff. And if you just go to the mainstream stations, you're going to be misled. Because at this point, they're not interested in getting certain truths to the American people. They're just not. They have shown themselves not to be. I could talk about a specific subject right now, but I'm just getting started on content creation. like for real, in the real sense. Well, I'm gonna say it in the sense where I'm trying to really, really go there. And but I'll say this much: I'm not scared. So I'll say this much: if they were really concerned about people getting all of the truth and getting different perspectives and not just getting one perspective, there are a whole lot of doctors and medical health care professionals that would be getting interviewed about the boop boop. I'll call it that. You know what I'm saying? They'd be getting a whole lot more interviews because everybody in the medical field doesn't agree with it. So there's that. So hopefully I said some things here. Hopefully people will explore the suggestions that I made. And blessings to you.